Hello, Carter here, and this time I want to discuss how to make a completely silent tank. I'm in the room, and the noisiest thing in here is the clock. And this is because this tank is made almost completely silent. I mean, I can literally not hear it. The way I've done this is that I took multiple steps to make sure each component is silent. There is soundproofing inside this. It is made out of slices of rock wool that you can get in hobby markets. This one is specifically designed for sound insulation of roofs, and it works really well. Just make sure you cover it with something because it is not pleasant and it's not meant to be touched. So I just covered it with this foil. Then obviously the filters. Don't use filters that are noisy. I can recommend Tetra filters. I have used them for many years. They're very, very good in terms of what they cost, I think, for that. And I've also tried the Eheim filters. These were actually the Eheim more powerful. They look like this. And they were very, very noisy because if the pump is AC and it's not dumped in the water, so like an internal filter, or it is not really inside the filter head, and it's big enough, it will always make noise. So if you have a smaller filters, for smaller tank, it's usually easy to find a filter that is quiet. For larger tanks, I really recommend these DC electronically commutated motors, such as these Aquamatics. They work really well, and even with the door open, I'm not disturbed by the filters. But obviously closing this makes a huge difference. Also, if you have a CO2 reactor, the CO2 reactor that is the wider tube with CO2 in, that can cause quite a lot of noise, the water mixing with the bubbles. So yeah, it's good to have a cabinet like that. And also don't attach it directly onto something like this, like a frame, because the vibrations will just get worse. You want to have it either loose or hang it on something that is more flexible, like the plastic zip ties, okay? Also, don't forget the bottom. This is a resonator. So if this filter is transferring resonances on the bottom, you will get noise. So I have these small acoustic foams that are placed on the filters, and they reduce the noise considerably. If you actually cover 3 sides, the back and the 2 sides, I have found that you don't need to do anything with the front. It's already enough, which is good because nobody would like to have the door 10 centimeters thick. If you do look at the measurements, the noise that is on the lower level, like the humming noise, so if your filters are making the really low frequency humming noise, you actually need to thicken material, almost like 8 centimeters. If your noise is, I would say, higher frequency, then it's easier to block with just, in my case, 4 or 5 centimeters of this rock wool. So if you have an AC motor, sometimes 4 or 5 centimeters will not cut it. Just know about that. Okay, another source of noise is the skimmer. The Eheim skimmer, if run at full power, it will attract air, and obviously it will, first it will drive CO2 out of water, which is not what you want, but also it will be noisy. You don't need to run the skimmer the entire day, just run it twice for 20 minutes. I'm using a simple programmed electric socket, and this allows me to run this only for 20 minutes twice a day. So I don't hear it, it's just not on most of the time, and runs sometime in the middle of the night and at noon. Number 3, lights. If you have a really powerful light that is actively cooled, you have a problem. Actively cooled lights are almost always noisy. I mean, you're buying a light, but usually they don't really make them with high quality fans inside. They're just like off the shelf Chinese fans. These are Noctua fans, high quality fans that I bought, and I cut them from their the enclosure, and I just added them to these custom lights. If you have a light that comes with a fan and is noisy, you should be able to replace the fan with Noctua or similar high quality, dual bearing fans, and they make a huge difference. The next piece is undervolting them. You want to make sure that you only run them to a level that allows the light to be cooled, and the peak temperature that you want to achieve is roughly 40-45 degrees on the outside of the light, on the fins. If that is the case, then the temperature on the emitters is roughly 10-15 centimeters higher, which is good enough. So I tweak it. I tweak the speed, the RPMs, by manipulating the voltage, and I undervolt them to roughly 6-7 volts, something like that. It depends on the model of the fan, but you want just a light breeze and very little noise. Yeah, there's almost no noise. In order to change the voltage, I just bought this small voltage converter. It's DC to DC, so the input is it's like 12 volts, and then the output you adjust. You can get that on eBay or AliExpress or similar sites for, I think I got it for like $5. Yeah. Also, if you have something that can attract air into the filter, you could also be getting burping noises from the filter outlet. So try to limit that. That could also mean that you have some leak. And because the filter is kind of sucking, the motor is sucking the water through the filter, actually you don't get leaks, but instead you get air being put into the filter. So if you have air constantly being in the outlet, that could be some basically leakage. Also, if you have a CO2 that is not really being properly dispersed in the water, like some people, they just would put the CO2 air stone close to the inlet, and then the filter could also make some noise. So just make sure you don't do that, and try to keep the outlets very like deep, so that you don't cause any ripples. You don't need any ripples. You don't need this sort of, that's absolutely not necessary. With the open top tanks, you just want a slight movement, and if there's no film or anything that is forming on top, you're fine. So there you have it. Work on the lights, insulate the bottom, the cabinet, and just enjoy the tank. Alright guys, if you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, just put it in the comment section. I'll try to get to it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.